शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। योगेन चित्तस्य पदेन वाचां मलं शरीरस्य च वैद्यकेन योपाकरोत्तं प्रवरं मुनीनां पतञ्जलिं प्राञ्जलिरानतोऽस्मि। Om. Dear friends, welcome to the study of the Yoga Sutras. In the last class, we were seeing the Sutra number 44, Swadhyayad Ishtadevata Samprayogaha. That is, by a devoted study of our own part of the Veda. Swadhyaya usually refers to not Adhyaya of any other text. Swadhyaya is Adhyaya of the Vedic text only, because each of us, in our tradition, it so happens that each one is asked to preserve a particular part of the tradition. Some people used to study all the four Vedas, some people studied three, some people studied two, so like that. So now we are supposed to not only just learn it by heart, a devoted study, a very devoted study of those Shastras and living by that and living that particular Shastra. So that is what is needed. So because very high standards are expected here, because Shaucha, about Asteya, they were saying, Asteya, you are getting some siddhis. All of us, I told you, we are not stealing anything, but we are not getting any siddhis. So the steya, the definition of steya, if you see the Srimad Bhagavata, the very high standards are given for that. So here Swadhyaya Ishtadevata Samprayogaha, that is, you will be in communication. You are in communication with the divine. You get maybe some sort of say messages. We see a sort of revelation. You call it a revelation, or some sort of suggestion from the divine. So this sort of thing, maybe sometimes we also feel. So this is what is there in that particular sutra. Then the next sutra, I will now share the screen. This sutra we studied, Swadhyayad Ishtadevata Samprayogaha. We read this sutra by the devoted study of scriptures, Ishtadevata Samprayogaha. Then this Ishtadevata concept also is something which is unique. Ishtadevata does not mean we have got 100 and odd devatas or 33 crore gods. In fact, 33 crore gods is also a misnomer. I think I referred to that earlier also. 33 koti. Koti means category. And what are those categories? Vasu, Rudra, Aditya. So for details, you may see what is called Shakalya Brahmanam in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. I think I mentioned it earlier in some context. Not that we have some 33 crore gods or 330 million gods. 33 categories. What are those categories? Vasu, Rudra, Aditya. 8 Vasu, 11 Rudra, and 12 Aditya plus Indra plus Brihaspati. Put together 33. There are, and all these, it is not again as though they are all independent. They are all manifestations in one reality. So that is what Yajnavalkya says in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, in that Shakalya Brahmana. So when we say Ishtadevata, it doesn't mean that, okay, we have got so many Ishtadevatas, etc. My Ishtadevata is quarreling with your Ishtadevata. It's not like that. All the worships to all the god forms or for all the deities, they are answered by only one reality. So that is what. Devaha, Rushayaha, Siddhascha, Swadhyaya Shilasya Darshanam Gachanti. This, to this extent we studied. So even all the demigods, Siddha, all these realized people, they give some darshana in some form, and then they do give some suggestions to us. Then the next sutra, this sutra we have, from here we have to study. Samadhi Siddhir Ishvara Pranidhanat. Samadhi Siddhi Ishvara Pranidhanat. Samadhi Siddhi Ishvara Pranidhanat Bhavati. Bhavati, we have to completing the sentence. Samadhi Siddhi, that is Samadhehe Siddhi, that is attainment of Samadhi. Samadhi Siddhi means attainment of Samadhi. Samadhehe Siddhi. Ishvara Pranidhanat Bhavati. That is by submission to God. So what is this sutra saying? We are actually asking for Samadhi only. And we say by mere Ishvara Pranidhanam, we are getting this Samadhi, which means that all other things are useless. All other things, they become rather superfluous. Not useless, but totally superfluous. Yamani, Yamasana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, all those things, they become rather superfluous. When you are getting this by Ishvara Pranidhana only, So that is the reason why the commentators have also pointed out that the samadhi mentioned here is not the asamprajnata samadhi, which we are talking of. That is the highest level samadhi. We are only talking about samprajnata samadhi, where that object of contemplation is very much realized by us. Object of contemplation, samprajnata samadhi characteristic is the object. There is an object for meditation or contemplation, and that object we are realizing it and we are coming close to that. So that is something like upasana. It is somewhat like upasana. So this attainment of siddhi, when we say samadhi, this samadhi has to be taken as samprajnata samadhi, but not that higher level of samadhi, which can only happen by viveka. It has to only happen by viveka. Maybe some, for example, in Puranas, bhakti literature may say by mere devotion to God, okay, you are just attaining that moksham. And we also hear stories like Ajamila Upakhyanam, Mahabharata, Srimad Bhagavatam, if you see. Ajamila, by sheer accident, he mentions the name of his son. He calls out his son, oh, Narayana, when Ajamila was dying. And Ajamila lived a totally licentious criminal life all through. And then at that time, there is a discussion between the servants of Yama and the servants of Vishnu. And the servants of Vishnu say, no, what you are doing is not dharma. And then anybody who utters the name of Vishnu is entitled for moksha. So that is by way of Arthavada. We have to take those things as Arthavada only. If we don't take them as Arthavada, it is contradicting the very message of the Upanishads. Bhakti is a very, very important means. There is no doubt about it. Bhakti is a very important means because bhakti is something which actually ties our mind to a higher principle and controls our actions. It purifies our actions. All that is accepted. But some criminal accidentally saying, yes, you utter my name and you are coming to my heaven. Then there'll be no difference between various competing religions and Hinduism, which is based on philosophy. Our religion is something which is based on a philosophical discussion. So that is the reason why all the Mimamsakas also have pointed out that whenever we listen to these stories, they have to be taken like they have to be taken as Arthavada. Arthavada means just a praise, by way of praise. If you, in order to praise something, you are slightly exaggerating it. Arthavada is a statement which is a sort of exaggerated statement in order to praise something or to condemn something. Artham uddishya vadaha. Artham ityukte prayojanam. Prayojanam uddishya vachanam. I keep some objective in mind, and with that objective in mind, I exaggerate something and then say. So that's sort of Arthavada, and such stories have to be taken like Arthavadas and not as verbal truths. So then it will result in injustice. So anyway, here the point is samadhi. Samadhi, here we are talking about this samprajnata samadhi, because asamprajnata has to be attained only by that great self-discipline and by viveka. Not merely self-discipline, but also by viveka. Viveka, vairagyabhyam. That is what we saw. Then Ishwararpita sarvabhavasya samadhi siddhihi. Ishwararpita sarvabhavasya. What are we seeing here? We are seeing Ishwararpana buddhi, sarvabhavasya, sarvani karyani, Ishwaraya arpitani, sarvani karyani. Sarvabhavasya means all our actions are surrendered. Whatever I am doing it as an order from the Lord. I am doing it as an order from the Supreme. I am doing it as, putting myself in God's shoes and keeping that cosmic scheme in mind. And I am actually, there are two words in Vedanta which we all know, that is Vyashti and Samashti. Vyashti is the individual and Samashti is that aggregate. So what the Vyashti is doing is a contribution to that Samashti. So with that frame of mind, when I am doing something, my actions will be purified. I will not be doing any selfish action or a criminal action. So that is what here he says, Ishwararpita sarvabhavasya samadhi siddhihi. Yaya means by which sarvam ipsitam avitatham janati. Sarvam ipsitam, whatever he wants to know. Avitatham. Avitatham is in the correct manner, not incorrect. Avitatham is wasteful. Avitatham is not wasteful. Suddenly power failure. Okay, we'll put up with this slide only. Avitatham janati. Deshantare, dehantare, kalantare cha. It may be in some other place, it may be in some other body, or it may be in some other time. The one great example immediately which comes to our mind is that of the story of what is this gentleman, the Dharmavyadha in Mahabharata. Dharmavyadha, we know that the story of Kaushika. Kaushika, a very highly, rather angry tempered, not arrogant, just angry, angry person, angry, let us say angry young man. And he once he tries to, he just looks very harshly at one crow and then that some crane, and then that falls dead. And again, okay, he is now he is astonished at his own powers. And then when he goes to some other house, so that lady of the house, she says, no, don't be angry. There is some discussion there. Again, I'm skipping all that discussion. Say there, she says, okay, there is in one place, that place I forget. There is one gentleman called. There is a meat seller. There is a meat seller called Dharmavyadha. You please go and speak to him. So he will teach you what dharma is. So this gentleman, somehow some wisdom dawns on him, and then he goes to that person. And then he goes, and then when he meets him in some other, so totally far off place, then he says, oh, that Brahmani sent you to me. Okay, please come. Okay, then he explains about his Swadharma, because he is born in that particular class. So he meat selling category. So he sells the meat. And then after meat selling, etc. is over, after his daily business is over, he goes home. And this man also goes home along with him. And when he sees the way he, in a very, very devoted manner, he looks after his parents, and then how he does his Swadharma and also dharma to his parents, then he tells lot many dharma sukshmas, very, very subtle points about dharma are told by this Dharmavyadha. So the Dharmavyadha is somebody who knows what that lady had told in some other place. This lady knows, we should not think that this lady and that fellow, they have got some sort of understanding. We should not think, because this lady does not know that that crane, that bird which died. Because that lady says, no, don't be angry. I am not that bird which died. She says, I am serving my husband. Serving my husband is my priority. She says, so which means that the lady has that knowledge of what happened some elsewhere. And that man also has some knowledge by merely doing his Swadharma, by merely doing his Dharma with an Ishvara Arpana Buddhi. That is what we see in Mahabharata, several places. Ishvara Arpana Buddhi is something. In fact, if we see Mahabharata or Bhagavatam, these two books are like elaborate commentaries on every word that is taught in the Gita. They are elaborate commentaries and illustrations. So then, Ishwararpita Sarvabhavasya Samadhi Siddhi, Jaya, by which Sarvam Ipsita Tamam Janati, Deshantare, Dehantare, in some other body, in some other time, Tato Asya Prajna, Yathabhutam Prajanati, then his intellect, Prajna here is intellect, Yathabhutam Prajanati. What exactly is there? Yathabhutam, as it is, it knows things as they are. Prajanati, Samyak Prakarshena Janati. That is, by that the person knows whatever is desired in any other place, in any other body, or in any other time. Then uktaha saha siddhibhihi yama niyamaha niyamascha uktaha. We have told you yama and niyamas. Asanadini vakshyamaha. Now we are going to tell you asana, etc. What are they? Then asana. Asa dhatu. Asa means to be. Asa, we know that asa dhatu. Samadhi siddhi asira sukham asanam. Asyate anena iti karana vyutpatti. Asyate anena iti asanam. Karana vyutpatti it is called. So asanam, just a posture. In English, very simple English is posture. Sthira sukham asanam. It has to be sthiram. It has to be rather firm and also comfortable. Suppose I am standing on one toe. I am standing on, because we listen to such stories. I am just standing on maybe on one toe or two toes. It is also possible to stand on two toes. So suppose I am just standing, but it is rather shaky. The position itself is shaky, unstable. Somebody touches me, I'll have to take another step to prevent myself from falling. So sthira sukhamasanam, sthira, it has to be firm and at the same time not uncomfortable. Sthira, okay, I'll fix myself in such a way that it is very uncomfortable, I can't breathe or something like that. It should not be. It has to be very comfortable posture. Sthira Sukhamasanam. Why? Because only in such posture, the mind will become free. The basic idea is to make the mind free. If the mind is not free, we do not know how these Ravana and other people, they stood on one leg and then and in the midst of all fires and whatnot, they did. So that is Rakshasa tapas. That is also there. Satvika tapas, Rajasa tapas, and Rakshasa Asuri tapas. So that Tamasa tapas rather. So that Tamasa tapas is there, but here we are not talking about the Tamasa tapas. We are talking about a Satvika tapas. So Sthira Sukhamasanam, because by Satvika tapas only, we will be knowing reality. By Tamasa tapas, that ego is very much there. Ego, there is more aggrandizement of the ego. I want to kill all the people. I want to kill all my enemies. There is aggrandizement of the self. So that is Tamasa ego. There is no question. There is no topic about the reality, supreme reality. So here the posture has to be firm and comfortable. So then he says Tadyatha Padmasanam, Bhadrasanam, Swastikam, Dandasanam, Sopashrayam. So he is mentioning certain asanas. Of course, if we see, for example, Hatha Yoga Pradipika. Hatha Yoga Pradipika is available online, and if you see, there are, I think, more than 80 odd postures. And so many, in fact, it will be very difficult also. Maybe some people who have practiced right from childhood may be able to do all those things. But we can do some asanas. Definitely we can do some asanas. Maybe about 15, more than 20, 30 asanas we can do, but not more than that. Not all the 80 asanas. So Tadyatha Padmasanam. Padmasanam is the most popular posture. Bhadrasanam, slight variation. Maybe Virasanam, etc. also is a slight variation of that. Swastika, Dandasanam, Sopashrayam, Pariyankam. Pariyanka actually means bed. There is a description of all that also, but I am not going into all these details. Pariyanke yoga pattena badniyat prushthato gataha. And Akunshya Januni Samyak Padam Kurtvatu Dakshinam. So there is a description about how one has to do that and all that. So I will not go into details. One has to lie on the bed and then bend the knees and then drop one leg. So those things. Pariyankam, Krauncha Nishadanam. Krauncha is a particular bird. Said to be something like a crane type of bird, not a very beautiful bird, because Krauncha Mithunadekam Avadhi Kamamohitam there in Ramayana, they say Krauncha is not a very particularly good looking bird. And also its movement also is rather not that good, Krauncha. But anyway, Krauncha Nishadanam, that is sitting like a Krauncha. Like all these Chinese movies, we know that crouching tiger and some other dragon. So like that, so all those crouching things. Yeah, of course, this is not crouching, it is Krauncha bird. Nishadanam, Sadadhatu. Sadadhatu, the meaning is sitting. Shadal, Upanishad, Sad. No, not that. Sidati, Nishi, Vishada, in that word, that Vishada is there. So that Nishadanam, just sitting in that posture. And Hasti Nishadanam, elephant posture. Then again, Ushtra Nishadanam, that camel posture. Then Samasamsthanam, some other samsthanam. So Sthira Sukham, Yatha Sukham. Sthira Sukham is Yatha Sukham cha. Ityevam adini. So the asana has to be in such a way that it has to facilitate, it should not be a disturbing factor. It has to facilitate our meditation. In fact, when we, even this mudra, that is what we call, not Chin mudra, that is Bruvor Madhye, and also Nasikagram Preshayet, something like that is there, not Preshayet. Yeah, that we have to see. Samprekshya Nasikagram Vai Dishascha Anavalokayan, that is what Gita says. Samprekshya Nasikagram, which agram? There are two agrams. This is one agram and this is one agram. So this one agram is, it is possible to just close my eyes and then fix though I close my eyes, I am fixing my vision there. Because even when we close our eyes, what happens is the eyeballs keep on dilating. When the eyeballs keep on dilating, it means that I am seeing so many things in my mind. I'm just seeing so many frames are coming to my mind. So that is what is happening. But when I focus, when I don't move my eyeballs, focus my eyeballs here only, Brur Madhye. So this is the origin. This is one tip of the tongue. Nasagre. Nasagra is the one agram is this, and Nasikagram, one more agram is this. And some people, they try to open their eyes and partly see like this, which makes a very, very difficult thing. In fact, long ago, when I tried to practice yoga, and then when I was doing like this, it is a very tortuous thing. Maybe as an eye exercise, it is good. As sort of eye exercise, we may do eye exercise, doing all these things, and then without turning the head. If you see that film like 36 Chamber of Shaolin, so there you are supposed to move your eyes like this, and there are two embers, and if you suddenly, if you just turn this side, then it burns. So like that 36 chamber fellow, I have to move my eyes only, eyeballs only, and also like this as part of my eye exercise. But it should not be for contemplation. It should not be for meditation. As an eye exercise, I may do that, like seeing this and all that. But as part of the meditation, it has to be very comfortable. Then sthira sukham yatha sukhancha ityevam adini. Then Hatha Yoga Pradipika gives postures of all these asanas. Then Prayatna Shaithilya Ananta Samapattibhyam. Ananta Samapattibhyam Bhavati. That has to be concluded. That has to be we have to do Adhyahara of that particular word. Prayatna Shaithilya Ananta Samapatti. Ishtadevata Samprayoga, like that. The Prayatna Shaithilya is, there should not, the whatever asana you are in, that asana should not be with great effort, a very tortuous movement. It should not be a very tortuous movement, or rather torturous movement. It should be easy. It should be a rather easy movement. And prayatna shaithilya. And when you are in that posture, there should not be a lot of effort to be there in that. There should be ease. There should be ease and comfort in that. Weakening of effort. It has to be effortless. Ananta Samapattibhyam. Ananta. Who is Ananta? Ananta is that great Shesha, the great serpent on whom Vishnu reclines. So that Ananta in yoga literature represents Prana, Pranavayu. Ananta represents the Pranavayu, and then the life force, what we call. So Ananta, contemplating on that Ananta is one meaning. Whereas Shankaracharya and two, three others like Bhoja and also Bhaswati by Hariharananda, they have said that it is, we did not take that Sheshanaga. We can also say Ananta is that infinite. Ananta is Akasha, contemplating on the Akasha, because Akasha is something which is closest to the supreme reality. Because when we see what is that supreme reality which is responsible for the entire universe, then how far is this universe? So we have to go to the Cosmos series. We have to listen to that Cosmos series to know how small we are. So in this small man, he is trying to visualize as to what is this whole world, this whole universe. The more and more you are seeing, you just can't visualize that Bruhat, whatever is that that vast expanse. We can't even imagine. So many light years and so many light years. So that is what it is. So that is Ananta, is contemplating on that. And whatever is that supreme reality, whatever is responsible for the whole universe, that Karanam, original Karanam, has to be that infinite consciousness. So that is something which is more fitting in this particular context, because we are now thinking about the infinite reality or infinite consciousness, which is part and parcel of the Asampragnata Samadhi. So then, Ananta Samapattibhyam. So mastery and asana happens when it is effortless and it is associated with contemplation on Ananta. Contemplation on Ananta, actually contemplating on the Akasha, is something which is very, very close to what we call Brahma. Brahma is that infinite thing. And what is closest to infinite? Akasha is the only thing which is closest to infinite. So that is the reason why even the Upanishads, we get statements like Akasha Shariram Brahma. So we get statements like that. Then Bhavati iti Vakya Sheshaha. Bhavati iti Vakya Sheshaha means Ananta Samapattibhyam Bhavati iti. Kim Bhavati? Asana Jayaha Bhavati. That is conquering, not conquering, victory or rather conquest over asana. That is mastery over asana happens when it is effortless and also associated with the contemplation on Akasha. Vakya Sheshaha. Prayatna uparamat siddhyati atma asanam yena na angamejayo bhavati. Prayatna uparamat. When that prayatna, when that effort is not there, asanam siddhyati. Siddhyati asanam. Asanam siddhyati. That asana happens by which na angamejayo bhavati. Angamejayatvam, we got this word earlier. Angamejayatvam is the trembling of limbs. There is no trembling in the limbs. If we are sitting in a very tortuous portion, then obviously there will be some trembling happening. So here with the Sukha Asanam, there is no trembling. That doesn't mean that we can relax and then recline on the bed and then do, because we fall into sleep. So we have to be comfortable, but at the same time, we have to sit in such a position that we don't fall asleep. Because if we have to do meditation, then obviously we get up very early in the morning, Brahma Muhurtam or something like that, 4 o'clock in the morning, and then take some rosary bead, and then we try to do something, and then we just fall asleep again. That should not happen. So then, ananteva samapannam chittam asanam nirvartayati. Anante samapannam chittam. That is this chittam which is associated with the samapannam, samyak apannam, anante. Anante apannam is it fixed on that ananta, fixed on that infinite. Then asanam nirvartayati. It brings about, nirvartayati means it brings about, it facilitates that particular asana. And asana and this contemplation, they reinforce. That is what we see. Getting asana is not important. Getting that concentration is important. So asanam and contemplation, they do reinforce. Then tato dvandva anabhighataha. So then this is another siddhi. This is another type of siddhi, another type of the bodily achievement or supernatural achievement which we get. What is that? Dvandvaihi anabhighataha. Dvandvas are, we are affected by various physical dualities. That is Shita, Ushna, hunger, thirst. So many physical dualities are there. And similarly, that anger and all those things are also there. So they are the psychological, but physical dualities. Here, of course, I think he is only talking about the physical dualities because we are now talking only about the asana. And when this asanam, when it is also associated with ananta samapatti, that is contemplation on that akasha, contemplation on the akasha shariram brahma, then obviously the dualities also will disappear. Psychological dualities, raga, dvesha, and all those things disappear when man realizes how tiny he is. When the human being realizes how tiny he is, then all these dualities, they do disappear. There will be a lot of world peace. So that is the reason why most of the people who are in their own Rajoguna, in fact, the world goes on like that: Sattva Guna, Rajoguna, and Tamoguna. There are some minute number of people who are thinking about Yoga Sutras, who are thinking about Sattva Guna, who are thinking about concentration, etc., and about reality. There are many other people who want to. It is always outnumbered. Sattva Guna is always outnumbered by Rajoguna and Tamoguna. So now this Dvandva Anabhighataha, a person who is in this particular frame of mind, he is unaffected by all these dualities. I should also remove this physical, because not only physical, when you are contemplating on that Akasha Shariram Brahma, naturally all other dualities also go away. So the concept of enemy goes away from my mind. So long as I feel I am a limited person, I belong to this religion, I belong to this, etc., dharma, etc., then I consider somebody as an enemy. So when you are in that Ananta Samapatti mode, then this enmity also disappears. So by that mastery, there is non-interference by the dualities. Only one line commentary. Shitoshnadibhihi dvandvaihi asana jayat na vibhuyate. Shitoshnadibhihi dvandvaihi asana jayat na vibhuyate. Asana jayat, by attaining this asana jayam, by attaining victory or mastery over this asana, na abhibhuyate means he doesn't get defeated by, he doesn't get disturbed by abhibhavanam. Abhibhavanam means overpowering. He is not overpowered by, he is not conquered by Sita Ushnadivihi Dvandvaihi, by all these dualities like Sitoshnas. Then Tasmin Sati Shwasa Prashwasayor Gati Vicheda Pranayamaha. Tasmin Sati, when that has been achieved, when that has been established, Tasmin Sati, Sati Saptami, when Tasmin Sati, when that has been achieved, that means Here we are talking about the asana only. When that has been achieved, then after that, what have we to do? Once that asana is firmly established, then we have to practice this shwasa prashwasa. Shwasa is inhalation. Prashwasa is exhalation. He is going to explain that. Shwasa prashwasayoho gati vichedaha. Gati means movement. Vichedaha means stoppage or regulation. Regulating the movement of this shwasa and prashwasa, that is inhalation and exhalation, is what is called pranayama. Prananam ayamanam. Prana means vayu. Prananam ayamanam. Ayama is yamadhatu. Samantat plus yamadhatu. Ayamanam. Yamadhatu. Yama is to control. Pranasya ayamaha pranayamaha. Tasmin sati. Then tasmin sati is when that posture is established. Shwasa prashwasayoho means of inhalation and exhalation. Gati vichedaha. Gati means flow, movement. Checking the flow is pranayama. Checking the flow means vicheda actually means cutting off. Chedana. Vicheda is stopping. Also regulating, checking the flow is what is called pranayama. Then how is it? He is explaining. Sati asana jaye. Here also very little commentary. Sati asana jaye. Bahyasya vayoho achamanam prana shwasaha. Achamanam means taking in. We also take water in our hand, and we cup our hand like this, and then we take some water, and then achamanam. Keshavaya swaha, etc. We do some achamanam. So when we go to a temple also, we give some tirtham. We are supposed to take some tirtham like this. But of course, achamanam is slightly different. Achamanam is, of course, achamanam literally means taking anything in. That is, in the case of Sandhya prayer, our rituals, etc., some water we take and then do achamanam. We go to a temple, of course, tirtham we take. Here, achamanam is used to refer to even vayu. So, sati asana jaye, that means asana jaye sati. When you have conquered this particular asana, bahyasya vayoho achamanam. So, inhaling the vayu, which is outside, bahyasya vayoho, this bahya vayu, you are doing inhalation. Bahyasya vayoho achamanam, that is inhalation, is shwasaha. Vishwasaha, achamanam, taking in. Then kaushthyasya vayoho, nissaranam, prashwasaha. Kaushthyam, kostham is Koshtha is something which is something like how can we translate like kostham is something like a stocking place where all things are stocked, a godown, something like a godown. So that is koshtha. So this entire body is koshtha. But here, of course, we take lungs only. Some people say, even prana, the yogis, they say that that the prana vayu has to be taken into the stomach also. But I doubt, because the stomach has no great place in pranayama. But some yoga teachers, they also say that we have to breathe into the stomach also. But I don't see any great benefit in that. I do pranayama only with my lungs, not into the tummy also. Some people take into the lungs and also into the tummy. And the tummy again, it comes into a very circular mode. So that circular mode means what can we say? Spherical structure, spherical mode it comes. So it is very difficult to do that also. And I don't see any use also for that. So anyway, kaushthyasya vayoho nissaranam. Whatever vayu is there inside, nissaranam. That is sending it outside. Sending it outside is prashwasaha. Then tayoho gati vichedaha ubhaya bhavaha pranayama. Tayoho gati vichedaha ubhaya bhavaha pranayama. Tayoho gati vichedaha means that is checking them. And also ubhaya bhavaha. Ubhaya bhavaha means when inhalation also is not there and exhalation also is not there. That is, you have inhaled and then kept vayu in your lungs. And then there is no inhalation, there is no exhalation for some time. So that is ubhaya bhavaha. Ubhayoho abhavaha. Then that is what is pranayama. Then we know that there are also some technical words for this. Taking in is called purakam. Puranam is filling. Taking in, taking in the vayu is puranam, puraka. Then taking it out is rechaka. You know the word virechanam also, rechanam is emptying. Virechaka is something, virechanam is emptying the stomach in a different way. But here it is rechaka, that is emptying the lungs. Then tayoh gati vichhedah ubhaya bhavaha. Then when you have breathed into the lungs, and then in the lungs, all that air is there for some time, as though you have filled a pot and then you are keeping it like that. So when the pot is full, it doesn't shake. It doesn't shake. When the pot is only half empty, the water keeps on shaking. So when it is full, it doesn't shake also. So like that, it is kumbhaka. Kumbha means a pot. Kumbha literally means a pot. Kumbhaka means like a pot, like something, some water or something in a pot. You are keeping air in the lungs. So that is what is ubhaya bhavaha. That is kumbhaka, puraka, kumbhaka, rechaka. So these three are, the three constitute one particular cycle. Then we come to another sutra, Satu, and that बाह्याभ्यंतर स्तंभ वृत्ति देशकाल संख्याभिः परिदृष्टः दीर्घ सूक्ष्मः बाह्याभ्यंतर स्तंभ वृत्ति देशकाल संख्याभिः परिदृष्टः. So there are two adjectives given here, not only two but three, दीर्घ सूक्ष्मः. Then this we are now talking about what is pranayama. This pranayama paridrushtaha. Paridrushtaha means it is very well examined, very well analyzed. Paridrushtaha, like paripruchati, naradam paripapracha, pariprashna, pariprashnena sevaya. Pariprashna means very thoroughly. Paridrushtaha means very thoroughly examined, and decided. What are they? Bahya abhyantara stambha vruttihi. So this pranayama, there is what is called a bahya vritti, there is abhyantara vritti, and again stambha vritti. There are three vrittis. Vrittis means vartate anaya iti vrittihi. Vartate anaya. That is, it is something like here in this particular context, we can say it is a mode, the mode of travel of the movement of air. The mode of movement of the air is that vritti here. When we say chitta vritti, there the what we call the thought mode, that is what is going to the object and taking the shape of that object. That is what is chitta vritti. There is a movement there, vartate. So my mind is taking that particular shape. So that is what is called ghatakara vritti. Suppose I look at a pot, my mind takes the shape of that pot. That is called ghatakara vritti. So vritti, that is, there is a movement there. So here bahya vritti, abhyantara vritti, stambha vritti. There is something which is external, something which is internal, something which is stable. Stambha means something which has been which is just restrained. It is something you have just kept it in a under a lid, something like that. Just keeping under a lid. That is what is stambha vritti. Then again, it is also distinguished by desha kala sankhyabihi, by space. We're not talking about that space, place, let us say some space, how much space it is occupying. Suppose I am breathing, and how much space, suppose I exhale, to what space does it occupy? If I make a strong exhalation, that exhalation has to touch almost up to navel, or maybe even up to feet when I am in a sitting posture. So that is desha, kala, how much time, and also sankhya, numbering also. That is so many matras. So many matras. Matra means a measure. Matra is so many measures. So many kshanas. Then again, desha, kala, sankhyabihi paridrushtaha dirgha sukshmaha. Dirgha and sukshma. Dirgha means long, for a long time. And sukshma is not the opposite of dirgha. Sukshma means very subtle, very imperceptible. It can go on for a long time and imperceptible. Dirgha sukshma doesn't mean small here. It is there for a long time, and then sukshma also, maybe, we don't know. I have not read all the commentaries. Somebody may refer to Bhastrika pranayama also. If you say Bhastrika pranayama, there is no just inhale, and even as you are inhaling, you are exhaling. Even as you are inhaling, you are exhaling. That can be sukshma also. Anyway, I will check up if that Bhastrika is referred to here. But commentators have only said it is subtle. That is something like imperceptible. It goes on for a long periods. When you are doing it for a long period, naturally it is very quiet, imperceptible. That is sukshma. So bahya, abhyantara, we know the meanings of stambha. Stambha means just keeping it as though under a lid. Then vritti. Vritti is mode or manner. Paridushtaha. Desha kala sankhyavihi. And dirgha sukshmaha. So it, what is that? It, pranayama, is in outgoing, incoming, and restrained modes. That is, de bahyabhyantara stambha vrittihi. Then deshakala sankhyavi paridusha, examined in terms of place, time, and number, and it is for a long duration and imperceptible. So there can only be three modes. There cannot be any other mode. Then yatra prashvasa purvakaha gatya bhavaha sabahyaha. Prashvasa purvakaha. Prashvasa is exhalation. Prashvasa purvakam is something which is preceded by prashvasa. That is, I do prashvasa and then stop. That is, I do exhalation and stop. I leave out air and then make my lungs empty and then stop. That is, stoppage of breath after exhalation is that bahya vritti, outer mode. Prashvasa purvakaha gatya bhavaha. Gatehe abhavaha. That is, there is no further movement, is bahya vritti. Then yatra shvasa purvako gatya bhavaha sa abhyantara. Shvasa purvakaha, that is preceded by shvasa. I inhale air and then just wait for a moment. That is gatya bhavaha. Then there is no movement. Shvasa purvaha gatya bhavaha. Stoppage of breath after inhalation. That is the abhyantara. Abhyantara means something which is inside. That is the inner mode. Then the exhaling mode, of course, here I have written the Rechaka and Poraka, I just told you. Then Tritiyaha Stambha Vrittihi Yatra Ubhaya Bhavaha Sakrit Prayatnat Bhavati. Tritiyaha, the third mode is that restrained mode in which the other two Vrittis are absent. And there is a little bit of effort also. It is also attained with some little bit of effort, means it is a deliberate movement. Because normally what happens in the normal breathing, okay, without our knowledge, we just inhale, and without our knowledge, it goes away. That kumbhaka is not there. Kumbhaka is not, we don't perceive that kumbhaka unless we are doing some work, and then suddenly we take some air inside, and then we don't even realize. It's slowly, it is there slowly, and then it slowly comes out, and then slowly again you are breathing in. So we don't realize this kumbhaka. But here we are doing kumbhaka in a rather deliberate way. We have taken breath, a deep breath, and I am allowing it to stay there for some time, and again releasing that air. So stambha vrittihi yatra, trutiyaha stambha vrittihi yatra means in which ubhaya bhavaha, that Rechaka and Puraka are not there. Sakrit prayatnat bhavati. A little bit of effort, just a little bit. Sakrit means once. It is here, of course, we can say a mild effort. Then yatha tapte nyastam upale jalam. Tapte nyastam upale jalam. We don't know why our people Sanskrit, they write like this in Sanskrit. Tapte upale, he could have said tapte upale. Upalam means a stone. Tapte upale, on a hot stone. Because in olden days, they used to cook in stone vessels. If you see that, particularly even in our own house long ago, we have seen this this stone vessels in which particularly this sambar, etc., if it is made, it is said to taste very, very so good. And the stone vessels, even today, they are available. If you sometimes on highways we see. So this yatha tapte nyastam upale jalam. That is tapte upale, on a hot stone, nyastam jalam, when water is placed. Suppose that that is heated up, and there you are pouring some drops of water only. Only here we are taking drops only, not a lot of water. When you sprinkle some drops of water, what happens? It shrinks. The water shrinks from all directions, and then of course disappears. So of course disappearing is not told here. That shrinks. It shrinks. He is giving an example of how that air, once it is taken in, it is just feeding. It is just sitting in the lungs. Yatha tapte upale nyastam jalam. That is water which is put on a hot stone. Sarvataha sankocham apadyate. It contracts from all sides. Sarvataha, from all sides. Sankocham. Sankocha is opposite of Vyakocha. Vyakocha is expanding and Sankocha is contracting. It contracts apadyate. तथा द्वयोः युगपत् गत्यभावः तथा and द्वयोः of this Puraka and Rechaka Yugapat simultaneously, Yugapat is simultaneously, Gatya Bhavaha, this Rechaka and Kumbhaka, sorry, Rechaka and Puraka, they are not there. Only this Kumbhaka is there. And this, like hot water, the water getting contracted from all sides, the air which is filled into the lungs, it gets contracted in the lungs. Then the other two modes stop together, just as water drops placed on this image, this comparison, not very striking comparison, but okay, we have to take it as it is. The third mode of restraining air in the lungs is known as kumbhaka, like storing water in a pot, I told you. Then trayopyete deshena paridrushtaha iyan asya vishayah deshaha iti. Trayah api ete. Ete trayah, these three, deshena paridrushtaha. They are examined or seen or analyzed in terms of space which they are occupying. Suppose I am breathing in air. When I am breathing in, how much of water from, air, from what distance I am breathing in? Maybe I have to keep some small paper, something like a small strand of paper I have to keep. And then I have to see whether I am able to cause some movement in that paper. And similarly, when I exhale, I have to keep some paper, some foil. And then I have to see whether the air released by me is touching that foil. Nowadays, for that COVID, we have got that COVID mask, expecting that, okay, that COVID mask is going to protect. But if a fellow is an expert in pranayama, he is also taking deep breaths. So that deep breaths, he is also breathing in from a long distance also. So I wonder how far that COVID shield is very effective. Because the very principle is when we talk, all the particles, they are there, tiny particles, and they just spread out. When they spread out, naturally it is not as though they immediately fall. They also travel in the air, and if they are only at this distance, they can happily go into his nose. That is what I thought. Anyway, here deshena paridrushtaha. So it is seen or examined in terms of the space which it occupies. Iyan asya vishayaha deshaha iti. Iyan, this much. Iyan, iyati, iyatta, we say iyatta means this much. Iyan asya vishayaha. Vishayaha is deshaha, a space. This is the space which it is occupying. When I am breathing in air, this much of air from that distance I am taking in. When I am breathing out, this is the span. Oh, the span is a better word. So what is the span of air I am taking in, and what is the span of air I am leaving out. And similarly, kalena paridrushtaha, kshananam iyattavadharanena avachinnaha ityarthaha. Kalena paridrushtaha, kalena. It is kshananam iyatta. How many kshana? Kshanam is said to be a fraction of, say, what is called, when I blink my eye, that is one, we can take it as one kshana. There is some calculation of time which I forgot. Our calculation of time starts with just this blinking of the eye. Blinking of an eye, that particular, it is called, there is some word for that, lipta or something, and so many liptas, that is some kshanam. So like that, there is some calculation, I have forgotten. So that calculation, it goes up to, again it is an endless calculation. So trayo deshena kalena paridrushtaha kshananam iyattavadharanena. That is by iyattayaha avadharanam. Avadharanam means ascertaining the number of so many kshanas. For so many kshanas, I am able to breathe. For example, if you are doing this meditation and also associated with this Gayatri mantra, pranayama associated with Gayatri mantra, then we realize that Gayatri, when the full Gayatri is told, that is along with the Shiro mantra, the Gayatri is normally Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. But when we tell about this Vyahurtis, Purva Vyahurti is Om Bhuva, Om Bhuvaha, Om Suvaha, Om Maha, Om Janaha, Om Tapaha, Om Satyam. Then again, Gayatri mantra comes Om Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Then again, there is a Shiro mantra. Oma Pojyoti Raso Amrutam Brahma Bhutbhuva Swaram, something. Okay, when all these things put together, it takes more than 36 seconds. So 36 matra, not 36 seconds, because second, according to when we see, in that second, there is some 2-3 matras also. So he is going to give that calculation also. So many matras. If that my breathing in, that inhalation is only for 12 matras, it is of lower nature. It is a very, very low. And when I'm able to breathe normally, that is about 24 matras. And when I'm able to breathe well, it has to be 36. So 36 is something said to be a good measure. Good measure, 36 matras. Matra is, you know what is a matra? Matra is the time taken to just utter one consonant or a vowel. When I say a, ka, kha, ga, ga, that is one matra. When I say ka, it is 2 matras. Then again, something like guru and lagu, for a lagu letter, that is matra is 1. Then guru shabda, it is 2. And of course, ardhamatra laghavena, we also hear about ardhamatra laghavam. Grammarians and logicians, they are very fond of conserving words. So in very small number of words, they have to convey a lot of meaning. That is the sutra. The very meaning of sutra is that. So ardhamatra laghavena putrotsaham manyante tarkarasikaha, it is said. So if they are able to reduce 1/2 of a syllable, or not syllable, 1/2 of a syllable, then they feel as though putrotsaham, the son's birth. So they are so happy. So matra is that measure. Vanik, when I say vanik, vanik, k is ardhamatra. Vanik is 2.5 matras. Something like bhishak, or something like vedavit, that is 3.5. So something like that matra. So here this matra, calculation of matras, it is also there. Kshananam yettavadharanena avachinna ityartha, avachinnaha ityarthaha. Avachinnaha means they are all decided by that, they are all specified by that. They are differentiated or distinguished, I can use, distinguished in terms of time by counting the number of seconds in each mode. Sankhyabihi paridrushta etavadbhi shwasa prashwasaihi prathama udghataha. This is something which maybe only a yoga master will be able to say. I don't know what is this udghata. Udghata, he is using a word called udghata. When I breathe in, the air which I breathe in, it has to go from my navel and it has to hit the head. Udghata. I will give the definition given by the explanation given by the commentators. Udghata. Puraka, kumbhaka, reshaka, udghata, yeah, jetavadhi, udghata. Udghata, the explanation given is udghato nama nabhimulat preritasya vayoho shirasi abhihananam. Nabhimulat preritasya vayoho, the vayu which has been pushed up from the nabi, from the navel, it has to hit even the head. The head hitting, it is something like hitting the head. So let us see this line. Sankhyabihi paridrushta etavadbhi shwasa prashwasaihi prathama udghataha. They are also differentiated in terms of number. The first udghata, the hit of I have used the word hit because the ghata, ud plus ghata is ghata, anudhatu, that is hitting. Udghata, it has to hit the top. That is hit of exhalation and inhalation is after so many seconds. That is sankhyaabhi paridrushta etavadbhi prashwasaihi, by so many inhalations and exhalations. Prathama udghataha. So prathama udghata, that is the air which is taken inside, it has to hit the head. That is, I will read this line again. Udghato nama nabhimulat preritasya, something which has been sent from from below the navel, from the navel. Vayoho shirasi abhihananam, it has to hit the head. So sometimes we also feel that when suppose we want to say, let me breathe into my brain. I am just telling you an example. I also do this. Sometimes when I am so totally tired, I try to do breathing into the brain. That looks ridiculous. That statement looks ridiculous because air goes into the lungs only. But when I feel I am breathing into my brain, the brain cells, there is some sort of tingling in the brain. The tingling in the brain you can feel. And after a few seconds, that brain and that headache, not headache, that tiresomeness goes away. So you can experience it. Suppose you just sit like this. I feel that I am breathing into the air. I am breathing into the brain. I feel that I am breathing into my hand. This is exactly what these unarmed combat fellows, they also say that if you practice some kung fu or karate, they are there again. That breathing, how that breathing is associated with your punches and kicks, etc. All movements are associated with breathing there. So in fact, there is a theory that it will be quite possible also that there is a lot of pranayama, and we also see that all these pranayama exercises, they are there in the unarmed combat also. For example, various mudras like mudras like this and mudras like this. So all these things, even the karate and kung fu people also, they do that. So here, this coming back to this udghata, I have to feel that I am breathing into my brain. So maybe something like that is meant here, because I could not see any better explanation for that udghata. Then another commentary and another explanation also is there in Yoga Siddhanta Chandrika. Pranena utsaryamanena apana pidyate yada pranena utsaryamanena. Gatva shurdhvam nivarteta etad udghata lakshanam. So he is now describing some udghata at the time of releasing the air. At the time of inhaling the air, there is one udghata, and at the time of releasing the air, at the time of another udghata. So this udghata is something which is not very clear, because the commentators also, they are also giving rather vague explanations. Paridushtah etavadbhi shwasa prashwasaihi. Probably a teacher has to tell us, oh, this is how you have to feel. So I understood it like that. Hitting the head means when my lungs are totally full and when I feel that I am actually breathing into my head. So that is, we can feel it also. That hit of exhalation or inhalation. Likewise, tadvat nigruhitasya etavadbhihi dvitiyaha udghataha. Nigruhitasya. That is when you are holding air inside. Etavadbhihi dvitiya udghataha. By so many cycles of inhalation and exhalation, you are getting that dvitiya udghataha. Evam trutiyaha. Likewise, trutiyaha. Evam mruduhu madhyaha evam tivraha iti sankhya paridrushtaha. So now I think we have covered the time. We have completed the time. So maybe this line and one or two other lines we will. That is dirgha sukshma, something to be explained. I will come to this point. We'll see this point in the next class. Harihi Om Tat Sat. If there are any questions, let us see. Srinivas. Srinivas. Okay, we are now closing here. Srinivas seems to have run out. Harihi Om Tat Sat.
Thank you, sir. There are 3 questions, sir. Can I go ahead or?
Yes, you can go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Namaskar. Is it possible to get SARS notes? Okay, I'll send that notes. The second question by Basavaraj sir is, what is the difference between prana and the air we breathe in? Is there any definite definition for prana?
What is the first question?
The first question is regarding notes, sir. I'll send it to Preeti ji.
Yeah, notes. Okay, I have not prepared it. I'll prepare it and send. The second was prana. Prana and air. Actually, I don't see much the difference, because in all the Vedantic texts also prana, pra plus ana. Ana is a neutral word. Ana is like animal. That animal also that comes from the same root. Ana is life force. Pra plus ana, prana. So when I say apana, apa plus ana is apana. Udana, ut plus ana is udana. Samana, sama plus ana is samana. So like that, ana is that the actual word, ana is that life force, pra plus ana. So this prana is something which is supposed to be the vital, that is actually the vital, that is the life-giving force. So I don't see any great difference between prana and this air which we breathe. Prana vayu we say, and then the air which we breathe in, it discharges 5 functions within the body. So these 5 functions again, they are called prana, apana, vyana, udana, apana. Again, they are subdivided. Some more numbers are, the names are there. I just don't remember them. Some names are there. So anyway, like this, our people have analyzed this the activity of air within the body. But I feel that there is not much difference. If there is anything, you please tell me.
Thank you, sir. Padmavati ji is asking, sir, when we do Ujjayi breathing, we take in the breathing from the throat, which possibly goes into the stomach. I do Art of Living Yoga, and this is common. But you mentioned breathing into stomach may not be good. Could you please elaborate?
That is only my feeling, because when we see, you see, when we go, even according to science, when you take air into the lungs, there in the lungs only, that oxidization of blood takes place. Oxygenation or not oxidizing. There is some, the blood gets the oxygen it needs. So that oxygenation of blood takes place there. But nothing takes place in the stomach. You see, in the lungs only, the blood gets the oxygen it needs. Then in the stomach, I don't think it gets. So maybe good for some stomach muscles or something like that. Maybe like that. But I don't see any scientific reason. Scientific reason is only when you take air into the lungs. In my opinion, maybe subject to expert opinion.
Thank you so much, sir. That's all for today. We will meet again on Thursday, same time, 10:30 a.m.
Thank you. Hari Om.
Namaskara, sir.